Why am I in bed?
That girl with the pink hair punched you so hard you went into a coma.
Computer, you kinda lied about why I was in a coma. I don't want people to know that all it takes is a punch to put me out of commission. How long was I out?
7 months.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't create plot holes within the timeline. So, anything new happened while I was gone? Eva, I need you to punch me in the face again. Nintendo woke up the day of February 9th, 2020 and chose violence. While I might have been in a coma, I know when Nintendo Directs happen. It's in my blood, and doctors question how I'm not dead yet. But during the Direct, they announced Nintendo Switch Sports. Is it a new installment of Wii Sports? Is it a reboot? A spiritual successor, maybe? Nobody f***ing knew. They just kinda dropped it out of nowhere, and I just sat there in awe. I mean, I would have done that anyway, given the coma, but still, it was kind of surprising. The game had a new style. There were new and old sports. It was a Wii Sport for the next generation, and people had very mixed feelings. The title for this one just feels weird. Nintendo Switch Sports. Why not just Switch Sports? Putting Nintendo in the name kind of ruins the alliteration. I mean, it would make more sense if older games had this naming convention, but it's not like that. It wasn't called Nintendo Wii Sports. It wasn't called Nintendo 1-2 Switch. And it wasn't called Nintendo Land. Wait a minute. What is this art style? It looks like a Grubhub commercial with these lifeless new Mii characters. And speaking of the Miis, they weren't f***ing here, and people started rioting in the streets over it. They literally showed it in a fake Let's Play. Did you not watch the whole thing? Even I knew the Miis were here, and I was in a coma. And let me tell you, I was so comaed out that I missed the playtesting for the online play. But who cares about that? The game is here. I'm here. Let's pop this f***er in and feel alive once again. Look at that. It's the image Nintendo hero would have loved to see if they were still alive today.
I'm still alive.
Ah, who let you in here? I'm not really feeling this one. Dude, this one's just really not a bop. I know, right? I mean, it's better than Wii Sports Club, but I don't think this song's gonna win any Grammys. Like, ever. The game is quick to get you started. No pressing A or B action, just title, menu, and play. And I like it. It's what I want to do when I put my new game in my console. There are 3 modes: play globally, play locally, and play with friends. Wouldn't the second and third one be the same thing? No, actually, because the third one is for online. While Wii Sports Club introduced online to the series, Nintendo Switch Sports has a bigger focus on it. It's probably because more than 3 people will buy this game. But will the game itself be any good? I'll be honest, I'm a little skeptical. I'm a big fan of the Wii Sports series. I practically grew up on it, and everything I've seen about this game up until launch has been very suspicious. This is the same company that made 1-2 Switch to control the minds of everyone in the world. You think I'm gonna trust them again with Wii Sports?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Sup?
I thought you died.
Nah, I just lost all my power after that Wiimote exploded me. But since you've been in a coma, I did a lot of thinking.
And that would be?
That I don't have to be a company to make good video games.
Oh, really? Well then, I'll be the judge. So before you can actually play any of the games, you have to start your career. You do that by making one of these horrific monstrosities. Jesus Christ. I can see that they were going for a more Ring Fit style. However, the rigidness of Ring Fit characters made everything feel less perfect and therefore more artistic. The smooth roundedness of these new Miis make them feel lifeless and overall corporate. If you do select Miis, the only part of the Mii you actually get to see is the head, and it looks very uncanny. Wow, it's like I grew up and everything around me started sucking.
Maybe you're just more cynical.
Maybe you just suck.
That's not even a good comeback.
Oh, give me a break. I woke up from a coma a couple minutes ago and realized that I have to play this I'm sorry, the style of this game really irks me. There was a nice charm to the older games. It was simplistic, and that complemented the kind of game it was. It didn't need to look pretty because that wasn't the point of the game. It's like a business executive thought, you know what would be a good idea? F***ing lifelessness. But style doesn't make up a game. The gameplay does. So how does that stack up? While Wii Sports was always a series that used the Wii remote because, duh, it was on the Wii, this is the first game in the sports series that's on a different console, meaning we get to use the Tic-Tac controllers. In a general sense, it honestly works. While the Joy-Cons are smaller, their functionality make these games very playable, and it's something I don't see a Wii remote ever replicating. There are just some games here that, while could have worked on the Wii, are just better off on the Switch, like Volleyball. A part of me is actually kind of surprised this wasn't one of the games offered in Wii Sports Resort, but after playing this, I'm kinda happy it wasn't. The game is automated, and not in the good way. The moves you do are predetermined, and the only real control you have is where your character is moving on the court, and that only happens when the game gives you the option to control your character. While the series does have a big problem on having big movements being a glorified way to press a button, here it's pretty much the worst it gets. All you do is wave the Joy-Con up and then occasionally spike when given the option, and it's pretty boring because of that.
It's not looking good here, champ.
I'll admit, volleyball is hard to get right. We tried to make it super involved while also being accessible to everybody since it's a family game.
Yeah, but you could have at least given the player the option of play styles. I mean, without that, you're alienating a big portion of the player base that doesn't like handholding.
Well, then I think you might like some of our other sports.
You seem confident. I mean, come on, do you really think you can win over my skepticism with badminton? The answer to that is... yes. This one's actually really fun. Unlike tennis and Wii Sports Club, the one-to-one racket in badminton feels right at home. The sport is very fast, and I get to actually influence the direction of the shuttle. Would you believe me if I said I just learned what that thing was called 2 minutes ago? You also have the option to psych out your opponent by doing a drop shot, and honestly, there's a lot of strategy in this game. I like it a lot, and I think it's one of the best sports here. And yes, I say that knowing bowling exists. I'll say this outright, this is just not as good. It's a good thing I'm dead inside, or else I'd be having a meltdown right now. What did you do to them? My poor child got fucking butchered by the Grubhub ad! The fucking Grubhub ad! Bowling was perfect in the first game. Literally every other time bowling was put in a sports game, it was unchanged. So why would you ever change the control scheme of bowling?
You literally just have to keep holding down the button instead of letting go.
You're fucking with my muscle memory here. It's not even that I don't let go of the button. That would be fine if it was the only thing. But the game wants you to exaggerate your hooking, and even then, it is not accurate in the slightest. In every game before, I was able to replicate my shots, getting a better feeling for the physics, but in this game, I don't know what's happening. The ball speed is all over the place. The hooking is inconsistent. I get a strike here, do the exact same thing, and then it's completely fucking nothing. It's wrong. What am I doing wrong? I will say, the more I played, the better I was getting. I was able to get a hang on how the game expected me to throw the ball, but I'm still not sure what I'm doing to improve. And even then, I don't improve by much. But I'm also a Wii Sports veteran. If you gave this to someone who never played Wii Sports, they would honestly have a fine time playing. I don't know, it's just not the same, and it didn't need to change that much. I have no clue whether it's the game engine or the Joy-Con, but something feels very off within bowling. And that sucks because bowling has some of the best modes. There's Bowling Battle Royale. That is genius! You bowl 3 frames, and if your score is low, you're eliminated. If you're not eliminated, you bowl 3 more frames and do so until you play a 10-frame game. This is a great idea. It's really fun. Sure, it's kind of slow, but it's something new and unique for the sport. You can only play this mode in global play, and I think that makes sense. You do need a lot of people to get this really going. But if you don't want to play a standard game on your lonesome, you can always try obstacle bowling. The lanes are all deformed, and you have obstacles in the way of the pins. And this is just so much fun. I could see my friends and I having a ton of fun playing this mode, since deforming the bowling lane is something I haven't really seen before. To be honest, bowling would have been really good if it just felt right, and while I could just get used to it, I don't know, I think I'd rather just stick to normal Wii Sports bowling.
Nobody is stopping you from doing that. Besides, the Switch has a bunch of new players on it, both new and old. I don't see the harm in changing how the sport plays just a little bit.
It hurts me in my tiny brain and I don't like it. It's a good thing this game has more newer sports than older sports. Soccer is an interesting one, since it plays more like a normal game rather than like, you know, waving your fucking arms around like you're doing whatever. You actually get to play around the field, run after the ball, and use a shit ton of strategy. You're playing with up to 8 people, 4 per team, and you actually have to work together to score. My first game, I didn't really do that, and while we still won, we could have done better. There's also a special mode that lets you use the leg strap from Ring Fit Adventure. If you got the game physically, it actually comes with one, and I think that's pretty neat. The game itself, though, is just alright. You're kicking the ball into a goal. That's really it. Your character is stationary, and it's not really about how you kick the ball, it's more so how close the ball gets to you before you kick. So what's the point of to the leg strap! I honestly think they could have had this leg strap be used within the main game, but I understand why they didn't do this. It would have been a clusterfuck of an experience, but overall, it's a pretty solid sport. And it's another sport that I don't think could have been done on the Wii with the Wii Remote, and it's done super well here too. It's honestly one of my favorite sports to play in this game. Which is ironic because I fucking hate soccer in real life. Next up is Chambara. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's basically just swordplay from Wii Sports Resort, but don't tell anybody about that. That's our little secret. What makes this game different from its Wii Sports counterpart is the fact that you have more sword options. I chose the dual swords because I'm a maniac. It didn't really help me in battle. This game is more about strategy rather than brute force. You have to know how to strike your opponent when they're blocking and when to properly block. There's less leeway when doing these things, so it takes a lot of practice to get right. And I will say, it's really interesting. It's one of the best parts of the older games. It's seeing your improvement. And while the pro status might be gone, you better see your improvement within the gameplay rather than having stars on your bowling ball. And I think this game captures that perfectly. I'm surprised so far. I mean, this game is actually not that bad. Sure, while there are some hiccups here and there, it's something I would honestly recommend.
I'm really glad you feel that way.
Hold your horses, you big red boy. There's one more sport that I have to play, and it's an older one, and that's tennis. And who knows, maybe it's bad, maybe it's really bad, maybe you fucked up so hard this time that the entire game suffers from it and makes it a bad game. Tennis is so fucking good in this game. Wait, what? Look, I'm not usually the biggest fan of tennis in these games, but this is the best we've seen of tennis in Wii Sports. Your tennis racket and how you hit the ball actually influences where it goes. How hard you swing also changes the ball's speed. While before you can get away with not using the front man, here it's so important to do so because if you don't, you will eat shit. You can't just rapidly swing the racket too. You actually have to know when to hit the ball, otherwise you miss your chance. My game got intense for a second. I honestly thought I was going to lose and it was so much fun. But tennis bad, tennis no good, it can't be good in sports game.
Looks like I did a pretty good job then.
No, I'm not giving you the satisfaction. While the sports in this game might be honestly really good, there are other things in this game that I get to complain about. There's like 0 options when customizing your character. When you first start out, you're only given 6 options for each category. To unlock more, you need to play globally and earn experience points to randomly win a prize on one of these cards. Why not just randomly give me an unlockable? Wait, no, why even do this at all? I don't want to unlock cosmetics for my character, who should look like me already. I should already have the tools necessary to do so. Doing so is kind of messed up, and it makes me prefer using the me heads way more because at least I know it looks like me. You also get to lock cosmetics for your sporting equipment, and this I actually don't mind. It's a real thing in the world of sports that if you want to have your equipment reflect your personality, you need to play the sport and earn money through the sport to do so. I did unlock the cute sword, making me look oh so cute as I swing it around, but I'm not sure if there's actually equipment with stat changes. If there are, I wouldn't mind, I just wish it wasn't so randomized. I understand why they went this route though, because it's a family game. Not everyone wants to be competitive, and the randomization is an incentive to keep playing until you get the item you want. Wait, did I just turn my complaint into a positive thing?
So, you like the game then?
Yeah, I really do like the game. Except for this part! What the fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What the Fuck Palooza! You can't play local multiplayer and tabletop mode, which is so dumb! The point of the Switch is to do this very thing, to take it on the go and play it with friends. I don't see why this has to be the exception. This is so messed up for people who bought the Switch Lite because that thing can't be docked. So a percentage of people who want to play Wii Sports with their family can't because I don't fucking know.
Well, it would be hard to see what you were doing if you were playing like that.
But you are literally alienating your audience with this kind of stuff. You're literally telling them, yeah, you know the reason why you bought our console? You can't use it on the one game that millions will enjoy. People don't care about small text or shitty graphics on a screen like this just as long as they enjoy the game. And trust me, people will enjoy the shit out of this game. I was honestly expecting a bad game that missed the mark, but honestly, while I think it doesn't get certain things right, it's a good game in the sports series. I don't see it as a sequel though. I see it more as a spiritual successor, and that's not too bad considering all that's good with it. The online play was very smooth, although I couldn't tell if I was up against real people or CPUs, but nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that I had a lot of fun. While I can nitpick and say it's not as good as the originals, it's trying to be its own thing. The game even has a new setting to play in, Station Square. Oh, I'm sorry, Soko Square. It's a less impressive name, but it has the same vibes. Although I do find it weird how in global play, I can't do things like play a normal bowling match or play the leg strap games with others around the world. I think it's something that might change in later updates. Heck, they're gonna add golf at one point, and that gives me hope that they'll add even more. I mean, what else can I say? It's a fun game, and I really recommend it. I just hope that the families who are getting around to play on their new Nintendo Switch feel the same way my family and I did when we got around to play on our new Nintendo Wii. Man, 16 years. It flies by so quickly, and yet, I'll be honest when I say that I'm kinda happy with the direction the new series is gonna be going in.
So, you don't hate me anymore?
What? I never said that, you still suck!
But I'm trying not to suck anymore. No longer will I gain massive control over everything. From now on, I am for the people, and this game is what I offer to show that.
Wow. Do you really mean it?
I'm committed to being better.
Does this mean you won't close down the eShop for the Wii U and 3DS and let us emulate our games legally?
Wait, I didn't think that'd be a part of the deal. You know what? I'm actually going to stay the same and just not take over the world while I do it.
I mean, I guess that's better.
All right, I'm out. See ya.
What an anticlimactic ending. Oh wait, I forgot to do the funny moment! Just like old times.